What's up, Ragin Nation? This is Alex. You're watching the Ragin Ronin review. In this video, I am going to be reviewing Taken 2, Mistaken. No, just kidding. It's just Taken 2, and Taken 2 is obviously the sequel to Taken. If you didn't already see Taken, Taken is a great movie. Taken has Liam Neeson kicking ass. And Liam Neeson has always been great because he was Schindler, he trained Batman, and he's a Jedi Master. But in Taken, he was solidified as an action star because he got to show how much of an ass-kicking father he could be. The first Taken was a bit of a surprise hit. It opened at $25 million and then it ended up at $226 million worldwide. So obviously, they're gonna make a sequel. And so here comes the sequel. We got Taken 2 and everybody's back. We got Maggie Grace as the daughter, Famke Janssen as the ex-wife, and of course Liam Neeson as Brian Mills. And when they announced that they were going to make Taken 2, I got really excited. But the closer we got to the release date, I started feeling less and less excited, because when you really think about it, Taken 2 really has two themes, and that is Liam Neeson playing Brian Mills and showing off his specific set of skills, and also the concept of being taken, or rather kidnapped. So you just have those things, kidnapping and Brian Mills kicking ass. So when you really think about it, Taken 2 is more or less the same as Taken 1. And one rule about sequels is that if you're going to do the exact same thing as the first movie, you had better make it a hell of a lot better. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I'm not going to get too much into the story just because it is really a lot like the same as the first one, except the only two differences is that Maggie Grace's character is a little bit more stronger than the first time, and then they bring on a villain with a face. But he really doesn't do a whole lot in the movie. The first one had faceless villains, and it really didn't matter because the concept of kidnapping is just really evil in itself. Like, the antagonist in the first movie was just the whole idea of kidnapping, and that in itself is very brutal and vicious, and it's just very evil, and that is all you really needed. It didn't need to have a face, it didn't need to have like a boss or a main villain, and that totally worked for me. However, I think one of the main problems in Taken 2 was that they gave the villain a face, but he was not substantial. He didn't really provide any substance in the movie. I understand why his character is there, but he didn't really portray himself very strong as an antagonist leader. So essentially, both Taken movies are really the same, but the first one rocks because it was original. But the second movie, you just can't take the same concept and rehash it again. It just doesn't work. And for audiences, we feel that there's nothing new here. So they really had to step up their game with the story. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. And so what do? You should up the action. But unfortunately, the director, Olivier Megaton, can't shoot an action sequence or hold a camera still to save his life. When you have a movie like Taken, you have to have great visuals and action sequences because that is what drives the story. If you don't have great action sequences to present to your audience, then you don't really have a whole lot to save your movie. And that is the biggest weak spot about Taken 2. The action sequences are just really poorly edited. We're dealing with a lot of shaky camera work, and in 1 second you will have 3 camera cuts for the same movement, and that is just not the way to shoot an action sequence. We know that Liam Neeson can do fighting stunts. We should have been able to watch those action sequences in its full glory without all the rapid fire editing. There were just way too many close-up shots, and it's just chop 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 chop. You don't even know what's going on, and that is really too bad because I like the concept of Taken, but unfortunately this was a huge letdown for me. Now, this is a Luc Besson production, and I always like to call Luc Besson the Joel Silver of Europe, because Luc Besson always produced really entertaining action movies, but they're not that spectacular or great. They're just really average, but they are entertaining. And Taken 2, I have to say, was entertaining. It's just unfortunate that the director screwed up what could have been the best thing about the movie, and that is the action sequences. Now, it wasn't all the action sequences, it was mainly just the hand-to-hand fighting. It had foot chases, gun battles, car chases, but the hand-to-hand fighting was just shot up close and over-edited, and that was the weakest thing about the movie. And the critics reviewed it pretty poorly, giving it 19% at Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it was that bad, but I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. I was entertained, there was 5 points right there, and I do like the characters, so there's another 1 point, so 5 plus 1 equals 6. 6 out of 10 for me. Taken 2 really isn't that much of a stretch from Taken 1. It's more or less the same thing, but just with really poorly shot action sequences. I wouldn't really recommend for you to rush out there to watch it. Catch it on a cheaper night, or watch it on Netflix when it comes out. Anyways, my name is Alex Yoon. Thanks for watching this review. I'll see you next time. Peace. It's a catalyst for a whole bunch of events that makes things very poetic for both characters. Now, there are a lot of great characters that are played by some great actors here.